Okay, I'm live. Hey, I wrote something this morning. I was feeling inspired. I hope you like it. You've all heard the story of the Grinch and the Who's. How they all became friends and they ate and drank booze. They all had celebrations of life and of spirit. But there's more to the story, and I think you should hear it. The rest of the story you might not have heard about the very next day and the Grinch's next words. Now, all of you Who's and your spirit, it seems, has made this old Grinch's heart split at the seams. When carving the beast, those were words that he said. But there was something quite different going on in his head. So let me tell you the story about the Grinch's next season, and the Grinch's next plan, and the sneaky next reason that the Grinch may have had some good cheer with the Who's, but you might not have heard it was all just a ruse. He had not stopped his planning. It wasn't enough to gather the presents and dump all this stuff. The Who's seemed unfazed and didn't stop singing. So the Grinch and his sensitive ears kept on ringing. Now remember, for Grinchy, it wasn't just toys. The other things making him crazy with noise was the singing the Who's did in spite of things missing. And all the Who's holding hands and hugging and kissing, standing in a big circle and joining their voices, raising up with the freedom they had for rejoices. And he, the old Grinch, went back up to his cave, and he thought about how he could make them behave. So he started to puzzle about what was in store, and he strained his main puzzler a little bit more. He came up with reasons to blame all the Who's, and make them feel guilty for their cheerful to-dos. Every year he would come and keep up his smile, but in the back of his Grinch brain he thought all the while. Next Christmas, he told the Who's, "Look, it's the Grinch, your old friend, and I just want to help you enjoy Christmas again." And he came the next year and he carved the roast beast and he sat with them puzzling while the others would feast. Then back to the cave for more plotting and puzzling. And for many more seasons the Grinch kept on coming, but the new plotty puzzle was much bigger than before. And the plan was to hurt Who's a little bit more. To stop all the singing and hugging and kissing and stop all the presents and joyful Who wishing. For he knew they were simple folk down in the town, and his fake smile was a cover for his permanent frown. He called his friend Klaus, not the one that you know, but the one with the planning committees in tow. And they would go to a town in a faraway land where they'd all sit and puzzle about Grinchy new plans. A town full of Grinches in a Swiss mountaintop, all puzzling about how all the Who's could be stopped. See from... Can you hear my voice? You guys keep it down for a minute? See, from all the Who's towns and in all the Who's places, they all had a Grinch near the other Who's spaces. And they all hated Christmas and the whole Christmas season. Don't ask me why, no one quite knows the reason, but they all started plotting a long time ago in a place they called Davos that's nestled in snow. And they hatched their plots and they made all their reasons and they kept on plotting and planning their treasons to make all the Who's voices quiet once and for all. And prepare for the day that the Who's would all fall. They all pooled their resources in deep Grinchy hate. But for this plan to work, they would just need to wait, just plotting their big Grinchy plans for the Who's, corrupting banking, healthcare, education, and news. So clever were the Grinches that they built fake foundations that were tax shelters for all their Grinch plans and donations. They made it all seem like they wanted to help whenever they heard a Who cry out, "Yelp!" They organized Who's and then made them choose camps. They even found a way to make them hate their Who gramps. The Who's would start yelling, fighting over traditions instead of holding hands. Who's started bitching. So the Who's would start fighting and forget that inside it was togetherness that brought joy and filled them with pride. The Grinch's great trick was to sound like a savior, but really it was all about changing behavior. That theirs was a gift for the Who's, it would seem, gave the Who's all distractions, so they lived in a dream. I'm doing something right now. Please go back upstairs. Please go back upstairs for 2 minutes, okay? Sage?
Why my shower skulls?
This is why it's tough to do live.
Shower skulls?
Yes, you can.
Can I do it?
Yes.
How many
Yes.
skulls do I?
That theirs was a gift for the Who's, it would seem, gave the Who's all distractions, so they lived in a dream. A dream where the Grinches had hearts just like them, while the Grinches kept secretly plotting to condemn. All the Who's and Who children and Who's hugging and kissing and dancing and giving and joyously singing.
What the heck are you reading?
Nothing but... Okay, please. And then the time came, that glorious season, when Grinches all hatched out their glorious treason. Oh, you don't know. You didn't hear about the news. There's a virus that's terribly bad for the Who's. You better all hide. Don't go out to the shops. Instead, here, take this mask, these instructions, these mops. This year we'll have to put Christmas on hold. And you Who's should be worried. Don't go out, there's a cold. But this one spreads out from every conjunction. This cold, it would seem, has improved game of function. So, sure, it might not be bad for most Who's, but to old Granny Who and to Who's you see on the news, you could be the one that's a killer for some reason. Better trust old friendly Grinch, this could be your last season. So whatever you do, trust us, we're your friends. We swear and we can see all the trends. I'm afraid your celebrations might be a thing of the past. And in fact, this cold might certainly last. Until all you Who's are sufficiently sad, just trust us. We're Grinches. We can't be that bad. Merry Christmas.